Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to explore the idea of finding the spirit. Okay, so let's tap into some inner knowledge. Now, this idea of the spirit differs from what people may know as the soul. Okay, I believe I mentioned in the last video that the soul is found in the solar plexus. That's where this astral body is connected to, it's connected to when it comes out through the silver cord. And that's tied to the lower mental body, lower mental plane that the soul kind of resides in and of itself, also trapping the spark, right? The soul is composed of, for people that embody it, the divine spark, and then the mind, the body, the ego, right? That's what we're experiencing here. And some people don't have that divine spark. Some people are just mind, body, and some people even have the soul aspect, which is the energy, the higher energy plane that they are made from, whereas fully NPC don't have no access to that energy. They don't understand energy. But the souls, the demiurgic souls, even created from this realm solely, can really manipulate the energy and tap into the cosmic consciousness. Yet the spirit is tied to the higher mental body, which is like the higher self. Okay, and that higher self can be alluded to what is shown in the show 1899, kind of like they're in their VR simulation pod, right? And they enter the simulation, but their higher self is still there in the ship. Okay, they are, the parts of their consciousness are stuck in that simulation, in that pyramid, manifesting that reality, whereas their true self is in that ship. And who knows if that was another simulation, right, provided to them by whoever was running that ship, right? We'll see potentially in the next season of 1899. And if you haven't seen my decode on 1899, do check that out. It's on my channel as well. But then this spark, where does it reside in our body? So we've had the 4 ages so far, right? The Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age. Now, if you studied Greek mythology, you'll notice that during the first 3 ages, and a fourth in between the Bronze and the Iron, which we won't regard as part of these 4 ages, because the 4 ages are actually attributed to new bodies being formed also. But during the first 3 ages, the gold, silver, and bronze, the gods intermingled with the mortals, right? Beings like Zeus, Prometheus, Hercules, existed during these ages, right? There was gods with demigods, with titans, with cyclops that existed during these times. Beings like the sirens would sway sailors to come their way, right? Until Odysseus, in the age of heroes, which was the final age before the Iron Age, conquered them by not listening, or by listening and surviving, because his crewmates had tied him to the stern of the ship, and refused to let him go upon his numerous requests, because he was so pulled to their music. And being that he survived hearing their songs, the sirens were fated to kill themselves, because any mortal that were to pass by their songs unswayed, or persuaded, to then come to them, basically surviving their songs, they swore that they would kill themselves. So that's how the sirens dissipated, basically. Right, and there are many other mythological beasts, the centaurs, giant sea creatures, cyclops, all types of beings that existed and that could be found on ancient maps. They were definitely mapped out around Rome and Greece. That's where most of the explorations happened during this time, right? And the gods, these, again, higher plane entities and the demigods, which were basically their offspring with the humans, they played a major role in humanity's life, because humanity was constantly providing worship, constantly providing sacrifice to these beings during this time, right? So this was the gold, silver, and bronze age. Now during this time, the gold age, man was not purely man. Man had a different body, his soul body, you could say. That then transformed into the etheric body, which became the no, I'm sorry. It then transformed into the astral body, which was the silver age. Then we moved to the bronze age, which brought the etheric body, the aura. Right? Man was, had delved into and degenerated into just an aura. Still connected to these other bodies, they were still there, but the consciousness had dove a lot deeper. And then we were led to the Iron Age, which was man made of clay, right? A lot of the mythologies describe man being made out of clay or earth or mud, which is the physical body, right? This suit that we're in currently, the Iron Age, right? And the spark being more and more separated from the spirit, the higher awareness, fell through the chakras that were also implanted, which is the 7th chakra coincided to a higher plane. So that was the first golden age. Then we go to the 6th chakra, which was the second age, silver age. And down into the 5th, the etheric. And now we're in the 4th, the heart chakra, right? And we're on earth. Earth is an anagram for heart. And everything around here, everything here is surrounding the heart. Everything is based on eros. That's why we gravitate towards each other. That's why we gravitate towards the earth, the heart. Everything is surrounding the heart, the passions, the lusts, the desires. Everything is a form of eros here. Okay. So that being said, all of these entities, whether positive or negative, are surrounding the spark in the heart, keeping it imprisoned. So that's the first level in connecting to the higher awareness. The first matrimony, right, the first wedding, the first divine masculine and feminine union happens in the spark by clearing, first of all, the lower self nature, right? Keeping that in check, or fully actually clearing it, in which it's not affecting the spark anymore, it's not affecting the soul even. The lower desires, right? The base consciousness. But also people can have their head too much in the clouds, and that's not good either. They're out of balance in these higher chakras themselves. But in a sense, you can't get there without going through the heart first. So, in a sense, having respect for yourself, having respect for others, being compassionate, understanding, not just being solely self-driven, then creates a union in the heart in which your base consciousness is subsiding. You're not fully driven by those passions, by those desires, by those lusts. That's what's surrounding the heart currently. All of these things that you think are you were born into, right? Like I described with numerology, with astrology. You have a specific script that surrounds your heart, that surrounds your sense of self, your true self. And it is painted over that. And you believe that is you. You believe, your passion for drawing, for writing, for music, for higher learning, for anything pertaining to this matrix, really. Whatever dream you may have had since you were young, to be a doctor, to be an engineer, to be even something extremely creative, a singer, something like that. That is a passion that you were born with, okay, that is surrounding you, and it is pulling you. Now, there are many other things, of course, many other attachments you can have. Attachments to family, brothers, sisters, attachment to partners, relationships. These can all be pulls on the heart, and they're surrounding that spark, right? Anything really that is of emotional and energetic foundation is something that is pulling you, right? And again, things like happiness, joy, contentment, euphoria, ecstasy, and things like anger, depression, sadness, jealousy, pride. These are all things diametrically opposed to each other, and these are all things created out of emotions, out of energy. They're emotions created out of energy, energy in motion. And these are based in the eros. They are based in fire. Everything here is fire. And fire needs something to burn so that it lasts. That's why passion and the love that we experience here is fleeting, and the happiness that we experience here is fleeting. Being truly at peace is to be empty of all of these passions, to be empty of the desires of the world, because the desires only feed upon themselves, and they ask for you to keep supplementing them with energy, with more logs in the fire. Because the fire, like we've seen in many love relationships, right, can burn out if it is not constantly fed. There's not constantly action put into it, because this is a union between two unfulfilled of themselves beings, between two beings that are not tapped into their own spirit. Now, of course, that relationship can lead to these beings maybe tapping into that for each other, for themselves, right? That can be a higher union in that sense if they are both on the same path and they have a better understanding of their true self. If they have more awareness that they are not their body, they are not labels that they've given to themselves, right? That's where emptiness is allowed to merge with this fractured self that has been taken from the higher self, right? That is questioning, that is yearning to merge with its true self again. But that is only the first union, right? You see, we have to move out of the heart and back into the seventh age, where we started from, that higher mental plane. When Zeus separated Adam and Eve, again, Zeus created all these bodies, or the demiurge, or whatever, for the spark to fall into, right? So moving out, we get to the fifth. Are there imbalances in the fifth chakra, in the throat? It's all a measure of ego, right? Once you moved out of the heart, okay, you've shown to yourself that you are not this ego, you are not your desires, you're not your eros. Then how are you using your voice? Are you still using it to defend yourself, to attack others, to fulfill your ego? And only then do you move into the sixth, which is the realm and the chakra of all what these gurus describe as siddhis. These are gifts. These are, levitation, psychic phenomena, being able to predict certain things. And again, it's one like the final tests of your ego. Are you using these to show off, or do you deny them? It is even this kundalini energy that can arise in one, which gives a person these gifts to see beyond this realm, to do spectacular phenomenon even, right? It's the movement of the energy within And it's full use of that energy. It's manipulation of the energy. To move objects, even to telekinesis, to do various form of supernatural phenomenon. Or do you reject them? Do you not accept the Greek gift, the Trojan horse? Because that makes you a slave to the creator of this universe. The creator of this universe is the one manipulating the energy. It cannot manipulate spirit. It can only manipulate energy. The spirit is what gives life to this, right? But the energy is the vibration, it's the oscillations, the movement of what happens because of spirit, because of that spark within you. And only then do you move, when you reject these things, do you move out of that and into the seventh chakra, into the seventh, the crown space, in which the holy matrimony can finally connect and happen, in a sense, outside of your aura, outside or at the tip of your aura. And if you think about it, that makes sense, because it can't happen here. It's in a sense, it downloads here, right above you, and it connects with the higher mental body. Now, this is a very, very long process. It's a very difficult process that can happen. Because first of all, that first part is simply alleviating yourself of those desires, of those demons, entities, positive and negative demons, feeding upon your energetic fulfillment of those desires, of those passions, of those everything in your life, really, of your script. It can be extremely difficult. We know of the Cathars that fully believed, kind of what's portrayed on this channel about this realm. Yet they knew their life, and they said, okay, I will become fully a Cathar. I will become fully dedicated to the path. Not being married or not having sex, not eating meat, being fully a pacifist, although I don't truly believe in that. When I'm older, when I'm just about to die, so that I've gone through my life and played out these desires. And maybe that's a path for you. Not everyone's path is the same. Although that can be fallacious and that can be dangerous, because you don't know when you're going to die. So you can say, oh, when I'm 60, I'll do it. But you die at 40, right? You didn't really conquer yourself. And you don't really know how much work it takes for you, how difficult it can be to let go of those desires, especially if you're adding another 10, 20, 30 years of, cementing that habit into your energetic body. Because once you die, the first prison is gone, the body, right? And you go to the astral. But that astral, like I've explained, is containing all of these energetic habits, energetic attachments that you've created for yourself throughout your life. Now, people that get to this outside of this energetic boundary of their desires, this can still happen, and they can still experience psychic phenomenon, although not fully conquering those demons. So some people are born with that maybe Kundalini body already activated, with their psychic gifts maybe activated, and if they haven't fully tapped into the spirit, if they haven't connected with a higher truth, what they will experience is these false beings, or a masquerading of light, a masquerading of truth, masquerading even of their higher self. So when you tap into the astrals, when you tap into that, even some higher planes than this one, you're only tapping into an illusion. You're only tapping into a trick, because it could be your own demons, your own energetic components tricking you, masquerading as something that appeals to you, or it could be even something a little higher than that, as the total false light beings that are basically keeping you from your higher self, from your divine spark, or your higher mental plane, your awareness. These that is the role of those agents, of those beings. They are acting as guardians between you and it. Now, being aware of these things, right? Being aware of the truth helps cement that into your energetic plane. Because, studying the Book of the Dead, when you die and you're going through the matrix process of reincarnation, your astral body is first put through the negative demons that you've been harboring, and then the positive demons. They both feed on you. They both essentially come out of you and manifest as an illusion, but a very pertinent one, a very real one to you at the time. And they'll start attacking you, or feeding on you, or tormenting you. Watch the movie Jacob's Ladder. It's a movie from like the 90s, and it depicts this. The guy dies, and then he still thinks he's alive, but it's in a sense he's stuck between death or between life and death, living out that process of his astral body, going through the torment of all his desires that he had. He basically ends up with this woman that he had been fantasizing about, and he was with his wife, and he keeps waking up between a life that he left behind and a life that he currently was experiencing with that other woman. So his family and then the woman, his family and the woman, and then his former army days, a bunch of dreams happening at the same time. All right, he's experiencing a bunch of realities at the same time now. Whereas when he was here, he was only experiencing one. And it's those demons, the positive ones and the negative ones that he had been feeding. They're pulling those memories, and in a sense resetting him, although really they're feeding upon him, like a harvest, right? And that's where this idea of this harvest comes from, because in a sense we really are dead here. We are like the seed that was planted, right? And this book I'm reading describes it as the Christ seed. But why would Christ plant us here? That makes no sense. But we were like a seed planted, and there's the wheat and the chaff, right? The wheat are supposed to be the good souls, and the chaff is supposed to be the bad souls. I don't think so. I think we're all meant to produce fruit. That's why we reproduce, right? We are here in a production. We're being farmed, and we are harvested at the right time. But those that do not produce fruit cannot be eaten, because they are not feeding that energetic component. And it's a back and forth type of thing. It's a I don't want to say it's a harmonious union, because it's not. But we gain nourishment from those emotions as well. Every time we feel happiness, it feels good, right? We feel nourished. Even feeling toxicity can feel good too, because you feel alive. You're angry. Oh, you feel passionate about something. You feel driven, right? So that in a sense also nourishes us. But connecting to the spirit will provide the true nourishment, the true fulfillment that is everlasting. Because these emotions, like I said, are fleeting. And you tap into ecstasy, let's say one time, especially with these new age ideas of being high vibration, right? You tap into the high vibration, and then you fall down, and then you're constantly chasing that high vibration again like a drug, because it felt so good. But you see, that's not true. It's just a higher oscillation, and what goes up must come down, and vice versa, right? And if you're riding a huge emotional roller coaster, you're going to tap into ecstasy, and then all of a sudden you're going to fall into depression, because that's the wave you created. What the goal is not to tap into ecstasy and then fall into depression every time, or even stay in the ecstasy, because that's not truly possible. The goal is to raise that bar, that standard, and remove that huge oscillation to which they're not oscillating anymore, right? Every time something happens, this isn't you anymore. this is you, right? Small waves until there's nothing, right? And our heartbeat reflects this, you know, it's doof, 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 doof. And it's a good analogy because every time something happens intense, your heart pumps intensely, right? Doof, 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 because you're feeling those strong emotions. Yet when you become unattached, in a sense, you are becoming alive, even though you're dying. You're dying to your false self. That huge attachment, or that huge explosion in emotions I used to have to those events simply aren't affecting you that much anymore. And that will lead you to apathy at first, but that's only a first step. Because once you get out of that, once you let these desires subside and you start tapping into your true self, that apathy is kind of like a grief of your former self dying. And the spirit starts coming to you and saying, oh, this is who you truly are. Oh, here's more awareness. Tap into this. And then you start feeling a sense of peace. Like, oh, it's okay. Everything is all right the way it is. Nothing is meant to happen for me. There is no true purpose here. I'm free. There's no huge mission I need to accomplish. I'm free, right? It can become one of the most liberating things, because that's what it is. You're liberating your spark from all of these prisons that exist here, to then hopefully connect to that holy matrimony, to that higher awareness, right? You are embodying more awareness, and your ego is taking a back seat. Your false sense of self is taking a back seat, letting that awareness come in and run the show. Okay. All right. Yeah, that was a lot of stuff, but hopefully that makes sense. You know, as I learn more and more, we all on this channel will learn more and more as we tap into our higher selves, right? We bring in more awareness into ourselves. You know, there is no really right way to be, but this is a process that can differ, like I said, for all of us. And as long as you accomplish these objectives, these checkpoints that I've laid out, then you are still on that path towards your higher self. But again, that takes a very strong intent, very strong dedication. And it can be difficult, right? Because the moment you stop feeding those demons is the moment they attack you harder, right? It's like breaking a habit, a bad habit. You feel those, withdrawals, right? Because those withdrawals are the demons saying, pay up, pay up, pay up. We're not getting our nutrition. You know, push those buttons harder. And those are the trials and tribulations you have to go through at first, until they subside, until they die from lack of nourishment. Makes sense? All right. If you liked the video, give it a like. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.